Oh, you were the last one in tie-dye? Yeah, let's beast mode this. Okay. Congratulations, it's a Bob. Reclaim your mind. Okay. Man, I look super bright with this portfolio. Oh, come on, video. You know you want to. There it is. Bow bow. Super fast. Mr. Bobo, please. Okay, Stanley, straight up. You should use Artstation. Just because, I don't know. I'm not. Artstation's where everyone's looking. So it's by default, it's going to be harder to show off your stuff. So see that button? Oh my gosh. We are here. We are in it. So I'm just going to go straight to this. Right off the bat, it's darker, easier on the eyes. Way better to look at. Mo better. I like this. That's cool. Man, that is some low polyness. So, okay. New Zealand. Environment artist for No Bark. This one looks pretty cool. So, I think... So, you got a character here. The proportions are a little odd. The proportions are off. It's a squished character. This one I actually like quite a bit. The texturing could use a little bit more work as far as like the variation and range inside of the texture itself. Just so it's not like a cavity pass. I'm just going to skim through these really quickly. The damage that's happening on the outside here looks inverted, I think. And it seems like you might be missing on some ambient occlusion. Poly count wise, you could definitely use some more as far as like the top edge here. Like if I blow this one up, sorry, this is super bright. You can see here, it's just a little low. The bevels are pretty good. Could maybe even be a little wider. So is the music jarring to you guys? Do we need to lower it a little bit more? Reclaim your mind. Yes, I think this is just it's just really low poly, and it needs the ambient occlusion to really kind of like bring everything together. I'm gonna lower the music a little bit, just a tad there. Is it okay to show triangulated wireframes in your portfolio? You know, I didn't really think about it. I mean, triangulated, whenever you export, even if you export assets not triangulated, they will on import into things like Unreal or Unity get triangulated. So, I mean, it doesn't bug me, but it would be nice to see where you're deciding to triangulate it yourself. So I can see how you're thinking about your topology flow. So if there's an area that requires some specific triangulation, then that would be a good example there. Like right here, because this is all triangulated, I find it odd that there's like no edge here, and this one's like soft too. So maybe it's not even rendering correctly. So I'm not sure. Blow this back up again. So this is a pretty interesting scene. Oh, so this is using the couches as well. So sorry. Well, the art is it's not executed well yet. Like I can tell you're still getting used to it and practicing. Compositionally, it's quite interesting. Have a good day. Oh, there's even a video. What? Oh, nice. Just little particles floating around. Oh, nice. It's just you flying around. Definitely, if you're going to have the camera moving around like this, you should look into how to set up a camera spline and get that all moving for you so you can control the speed and ease into the clipping. Oh, man. Either way, this is pretty cool. But yeah, getting a camera spline going on and looking at your proportions, the way you're texturing things. It's very stylized, which from what I can gather, looks like is the intended look. The couch actually looks unlit or like untextured, if that makes sense. It's like maybe a bit more of a gray. This could actually be the result of some of your maps not being linear in color space. But it's a pretty cool scene. Let's see. I think just working on executing on your materials and your bakes to get really good like normal map information that's clean. Looking at your topology and flow and silhouette, and then your materials. It looks like your lighting in general is like you don't need to work on it yet. It's more about like the execution of your modeling, your texturing, and your I guess just modeling, texturing. Well, and I guess your material creation, like the shaders themselves. But I mean, already looking at this shot, I can tell that you have at least a little bit of an eye for composition and framing of interesting angles and whatnot. Let's keep going through here. Well, I feel like this changed the order on me. Why does it feel that way? I guess because I scaled it. So on this material, this one as well. So be careful of the, let's see, so Substance Painter. There's some cracks on here that look procedural. Be careful about those. Be careful about the noise on the tiles. So you can add that with the detail normal. That way you're not baking and locking in the resolution of your details. Detail normals are just a tileable, simple kind of normal pattern that portrays the surface of the material and is independent of the rest of the normal maps, but is blended into it. That way you can control the tiling and increase resolution and overall like resolution quality on like a base level. See, this looks really cool. It's just it's hard to read, and everything is very like there's a lot of stuff happening on it. Whereas like maybe you want to like control where it's wet and where it's dry to like either the sides or maybe a puddle. That blood, for example, depending on how old it is, judging by the color, it's not too old. So I'd expect maybe some type of reflective surface. I sound like a cyborg today? That's terrible. Maybe I'm peaking. Let's lower that a little bit. The other thing I would say about this scene is making sure that you've got props in here to break up the basic shape of the space, because right now it's just like a tunnel, a box tunnel, you know. And then looking at scale, like the size of paper versus the size of a door. Putting a character in your scene is going to be like the best thing you can do as far as like checking your scale and stuff. Like putting that piece of paper in, like just lifting it up so you can see it next to the character's hand will tell you like almost immediately if it's too large or too small, or if it's just right. I really like this albedo. That's pretty cool. There's a lot of stuff going on there. These feel a little forced, these little scratches, but other than that, the colors are really interesting, and the variation is pretty nice. How do I feel about UE4's world aligned texture nodes? I mean, they're cool. They're convenient and they make things pretty easy. They do come at a cost though. Always remember that. Let's check out this scene. So again, this scene is like you're showing really good compositional understanding. It gets a little busy here, like in the central area, and I wonder if you can fix that with like adding stairs so that there's some height difference, where like this is maybe higher and then maybe it has some stairs here, and then that whole tier set of the rest of the steps or the rest of the walkway is like a tier lower, and everything else is a little bit lower because of that. And then this gazebo type shape here is it's quite the focal point to the rest of the composition. Taking that and either scaling it up or framing it, maybe because you add the stairs here and you bring everything down, then you bring it back up further into the scene and bring the gazebo type thing up higher. I don't know if that's a gazebo or not. I don't know what those are called. I did not study. I wouldn't suggest using them in a shipped title. You can always optimize it. What I'm referring to, for anyone who's wondering what I'm talking about, is world aligned materials, world space UV based materials. So this is pretty cool. Again, it's missing out on that ambient occlusion. Like you're probably getting it if you're doing a light map bake. You're getting a little bit of it, but I would highly suggest packing all of these pieces into a second or third UV set and just getting like an ambient occlusion bake so that you can get the interaction between all the pieces. So this is a pretty cool material. It feels, I mean, I guess you're not displacing it, but it feels a bit flat. And there's a lot of procedural shapes going on in there. Like these really hard edges, I would definitely knock those back a bit, damage them a little bit more, or soften the edge so they're not so like crisp. This one's looking pretty good. Oh, that's interesting too. So I like that you're experimenting with layers, and I love the fact that you've done a GIF here. Getting a color difference between the tiles and whatever the snow rock tiles. So the snow that's, see, and I'm not seeing it as snow, and it's maybe because it looks like snow that's melted and frozen and then was rained on and froze. So it's like really sharp and chiseled looking. Getting your snow more powdery looking and softer, and then blending it on top of the stones could look pretty awesome. And I would suggest in your albedo shifting the stone color so that it breaks away from the color of the snow. So this is tree bark. Let me see here. For GL rendering. So this looks stylized, but it also kind of looks like what you would see on like a carved, like miniature thing. That is actually wood, and you've carved a pattern like this. So it kind of looks carved, which is pretty interesting. But I would look at varying the size of these and then looking at how bark is formed, because bark is actually usually layered chunks. Oh, Grupp, that'll do it. 2 streams up. Thanks. But yeah, bark is actually like, if you were to make like a chunk, let's see if I can, if you're able to make like a, oh man, let's invert that. There we go. We'll do it in DiNusty colors too. So if you were to make like a chunk of bark, right, and then scatter that on top of itself, and you have like this piece is maybe over the top of that, and then let's say that this one's under it, and Like this is a really good way to make bark. Making that one piece or a generator that can make a bunch of those pieces and then getting them intermixed and blending between each other, layering on top of each other, going under each other. Like that's a really good way, I think, to start approaching the creation of bark in Substance Designer. Let's see. And then this is, I actually think this is pretty cool, pretty cute. It is very low poly. And you're missing a lot of opportunities for like this shape here. Like if you look at, let's see here. Let's blow this up. So if you look at that strap that you had made, I'll just like slap one together. This is gonna be pretty hacksaws. Let's just do that, and then we'll delete this, and we'll mirror it. Okay, so let's say this is your strap, right? And we'll delete these. Oh man, this is going to be interesting. So one thing I'm noticing is like taking this area up here. You know how like it tends to fold back? Like when you subdivide, like if I do this. Nice. What is going on here? Just gonna do a oh, that's why. I see. Okay, so like taking this top area and bending it and rotating it back will kind of give you that look I think that you're trying to go for. Where it's like overlapping on top of itself. I'm just gonna like bend this all however I want. But like thinking about how stuff can fold on top of itself instead of just leaving it as like a simple, like I can see where it's folding. You know, like you end up getting this like triangulated fold. Yeah, I see it. It's there. I know. I see what you're doing, or what you're trying to do. Anyways, totally add that geometry. Like these ears too. Like you can just, if I just like bring this out here, and then let's thicken this and give it a backing. Like those ears are just begging to be have that detail added to them, you know? Oh, let's get rid of these ones. Where they have like that nice kind of curve to them. It looks like it's wider down here too. And then the top is a bit more tapered. This is, bear in mind too, this is me just kind of screwing around. I wonder if you could, so if you inset, oh, that is not working at all. Let me just do this. Okay, turn the thicken off, bring this in. You hit tab on that. See, then you get this little inside piece here. And if you do it again, you can bring that in, and then you can start getting like the little inset of an ear. I wonder if I just like, oh man. This stuff's too fun, man. 3D is fun. Anywho, add geometry. It's fun. Yeah, this is Moto, what I'm using. And don't be scared to like get that triangle count on a backpack like this to make it look like it's got weight to it and all that stuff. It's going to be somewhere like 2,000 to 3,000 triangles. And that's okay. Make it look cool. You know, it's all about making it look cool. So with that said, I think that your composition skills are pretty good. I would suggest removing the character, since it doesn't look like you're saying you're an environment artist, so I wouldn't even have a character in there. This character, the fox in the room, is totally fine. It's Wings 3D. I would package your substances maybe like on like the end of your list here, and so we have these materials, right? But then you have these scenes. For this one, I wouldn't put this as your thumbnail. I would actually put one of these shots as your thumbnail, and then make sure to add some props in there. Joe, what's going on? Reddington, hi. Hey, pro. You need to switch to Moto. Anyway, so concentrate on your materials, on your shaders, and executing really nicely on your high polys and your bakes. Like, this is actually, I like where this is going, and I think that I think in here I would love to see the high poly, because I want to see how you approached that. It's pretty cool. So yeah, you could totally take that further. It looks like you had fun with it though, that's for sure. All right, Stanley, materials, execution on your models, and then don't shy away from polys in order to get the look that you're trying to go for. All right, I will be right back. We're gonna switch to the next portfolio, which is where are we at here? I'll switch to it. I'll be right back.